Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for tuning in this week. So for those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Ortal, aka the Workout Unicorn, and for those of you that are regular subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in again. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about two of my favorite new supplements that I recently discovered and incorporated into my routine, and I found that they've been really helpful for my cardio workouts, my strength training workouts, and just for overall muscle mass and leanness and body composition. So these two supplements are creatine, which I'm sure all of you have heard of, and CLA, which is something that I recently discovered. The supplements that I use are by Women's Best. As you guys know, I'm sponsored by them, and so obviously instead of going out and buying these, I just use the ones that they produce. These are the CLA capsules. They're 30-day supply. We'll talk about them at the end of the video. And this is the creatine that I use. It comes with a scooper and it's 4 grams per serving. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to talk to you guys about is creatine. Creatine is widely used in the fitness community, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about it, that you should take it if you're weightlifting, and that it's super helpful, and all bodybuilders take it, and it's like one of those praised supplements that everybody takes. I personally like it. I recently incorporated it into my routine, and I find that it has been helpful, slightly for my weightlifting workouts, but more so for my cardio workouts, and I'll talk about that a little bit towards the end. So what is creatine? Creatine is actually something that's naturally produced in the body from the amino acids glycine, arginine, and methionine. So what creatine does is basically it helps resynthesize or rebuild or recreate, I guess, ATP. And ATP is the energy that your muscles need in order to function. It's basically the energy that your entire body uses. And so what ATP basically does is it enhances your muscles' ability to maintain energy output during brief periods of high intensity exercises. So that applies to weightlifting, and it also applies to cardio. When you use creatine, you have two phases. You have the loading phase, and then you have the maintenance phase. The loading phase is usually 5 to 7 days at the very beginning, and that's the phase where you kind of oversaturate your muscles with creatine so that they have a steady supply of it, and there's always creatine in the muscle. The recommended dosage for that would be 20 grams a day for those 5 to 7 days. And what I like to do instead of taking those 20 grams all in one sitting is kind of break it up evenly. So let's say if you break it up into 4 times a day, you take 5 grams each time, like with each meal or something like that, for those 5 to 7 days to ensure that you're in the loading phase. After you're done with the loading phase, you get into the maintenance phase. Now the maintenance phase is basically what you do for the remainder of the time. That's why it's called maintenance. And you have about 5 grams of creatine per day for the entire remainder of the phase. Now again, I don't like taking those 5 grams all at once, so what I'll do is I'll usually break it down into 2 or 3 meals. So I'll usually end up taking 2 in the morning, and then 2 at night, and then 1 for lunch or during my workout or something like that. And creatine comes in both forms. You can get it in pill form or you can get it in powders. I have it in powder. That's what Women's Best uses, and I personally prefer it because you just mix it in with shakes. And as you guys know, for those of you that watch my supplement video, I hate taking pills. I'm like a child, can't swallow them to save my life. So it's really not appealing to me to take 5 or 6 or 7 pills a day. So I just prefer to mix it in a shake, and it doesn't really taste that bad. If you just take it straight up with water, it kind of has a nasty taste. But I usually mix it in with my BCAAs, or I'll mix it in with my shake, and that way the banana or whatever overpowers that flavor. So it's not that bad. So as I talked about in the beginning of this video, creatine is considered the best supplement out there that everybody has to take. That's not really the case. There are a bunch of studies that have shown that creatine supplementation is really not ideal for everybody. There are some studies that showed that people that were weightlifting and they took creatine versus a placebo, they didn't show any difference. Some people don't react well to creatine. They just don't, their body just doesn't even acknowledge that it's doing anything. It's whatever. They basically have the same weightlifting output as they would if they didn't take anything. I personally recommend creatine for endurance athletes. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but endurance athletes have been shown to have successful workouts and better outputs when using creatine, and also people on vegetarian diets. People on vegetarian diets do generally respond better to creatine supplementation, probably due to the lack of intake of meat, because creatine does come from red meat and you can find it in meat, but if you're vegetarian, obviously you don't eat meat. It's not found in tofu or other vegan supplements. So they do respond better when they take it in pill form or in the supplement. So a lot of people also ask, is creatine safe to take? Are there any health risks? There's been a lot of studies on this. The majority of them have found that there really is no risk with taking creatine. They looked at short-term and long-term usage, so from 5 months all the way up to people that took creatine consecutively for 9 years, and there hasn't been like any negative response to the people that have taken it for longer periods of time or short periods of time. So it's really good that it's just a safe supplement that you can take, and there's not really any studies that have shown negative or adverse effects when taking it. The only major concern that I would have with creatine is probably the quality of the product. So synthetic creatine obviously is created in labs, and sometimes people will like to water it down with other supplements or other ingredients just so that they can sell it at a cheaper price. So obviously take a look at where your product is being made and, you know, the ingredients in it to make sure that you're actually getting creatine and you're not just paying for a bunch of like additives and fillers. So kind of talking about creatine in a different aspect would be with cardio. A lot of people, like I said, associate creatine with weightlifting, but some studies have shown that creatine and cardio are very good friends. So what creatine does, it'll basically reduce the oxygen cost that you have during cardio. And essentially what that means is that it'll put less of a strain on your cardiovascular system when you're doing cardio like HIIT or any aerobic activity. And it'll also increase your aerobic capacity, so you can go harder for longer, or you can just do your cardio for longer. And that's really, really a good thing, because if you can go harder and longer for HIIT, or if you could just do cardio for longer, that means you're going to have a greater caloric output, which means you're basically burning more fat. So studies have shown that if you mix creatine supplementation with good nutrition, of course, and a good weightlifting routine, you're going to have a net loss of body fat, which basically means you're actually losing fat as opposed to lean muscle, and you're going to have more lean muscle left over at the end. So that's really good news if you're trying to lose fat, right? I mean, we're all trying to lose weight. Obviously, try out creatine. It's really not a bad supplement. I personally take it, and I have found that it has helped me with cardio. I only noticed it changes 2 weeks in, so I had to finish my loading phase and a week into my maintenance phase. That's really when I started noticing the difference in my cardio. I could do HIIT for about 3 to 4 more minutes, which is a lot, because usually after 15 to 20 minutes of HIIT, I'm done. I'm just like, peel me off of this bike. I can't do this anymore. So if you guys want to try it, I highly recommend it. And if you would like to try the Women's Best supplement, you can always use my code. I linked it at the bottom of the video. If you do want to try creatine, it is a supplement that I recommend incorporating. Worst case scenario, your body just doesn't have any reaction to it, so you can stop taking it. Best case scenario, you notice that it helps during your workout routine, which is always great. Alright, so the second supplement I want to talk about is CLA. CLA is basically short for conjugated linoleic acid, so I'm just going to refer to it as CLA. And it's a naturally occurring fatty acid. And you can find it if you eat cheese, if you eat lean meat, preferably grass-fed, dairy products for some sorts like cottage cheese and yogurt and stuff like that. So CLA, when it was first discovered, was kind of considered this like fat loss drugs, because when you do take CLA naturally in its naturally occurring form, there have been a lot of studies that have shown significant fat loss, not body mass loss, just actual fat loss in humans. So of course companies were like, ooh, this is amazing, let's put this into a pill and we can turn this into a fat loss pill. Now, the difference is when you find CLA naturally in foods, you'll find it in like I said, grass-fed beef or cheese or dairy and stuff like that. In its natural form, anywhere between 1.4 grams to 3 grams a day has been linked to significant weight loss in humans. Unfortunately, when you put it in a pill form, it's not derived from the natural form. So what it'll do, if in the natural form, if it comes from, say, grass-fed beef, in the pill form, what they'll do, they'll take a certain oil and they'll modify it in order to extract the CLA from it. Now, technically they're both CLA, but as you guys probably know, where you get your fatty acids from, or your amino acids or anything, it's always better to get it in its natural form as opposed to pill form. So CLA, if you have a really well-balanced diet, you're not vegetarian or vegan, and you consume enough healthy meats and cheeses and dairy products, I really don't think you have to take CLA. Now, for people that are vegetarian or vegan in particular, CLA could be a good supplement to incorporate into your diet. Now, like other supplements, CLA has been shown to be very effective in some people, and in other people, their body just didn't respond at all. They did a study where they took people and they gave them CLA in pill form, in a derived form, not a natural form, and they gave people a placebo, and the results were the same in terms of fat loss, in terms of body composition, and all that. So your body could just not respond to it. And especially if you have, like I said, a well-balanced diet, you probably don't even need it. Another good thing about CLA is that a lot of studies have shown that it'll help you reduce your risk for other diseases, not just weight loss, diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes, and different types of cancer. So it is a very good supplement to have in your routine if you're not already getting it from your diet. So what's the dosage? What should you take? I personally recommend anywhere between 3.2 to 6.4 grams a day, depending, of course, body weight, activity, and a whole bunch of different factors. I like to stick to the kind of lower dosage, so I'll take around 3 grams a day or 3,000 milligrams. That basically equates to 3 pills with the Women's Best dosage. So I'll take a pill in the morning, a pill at lunch, and then a pill at dinner, obviously all with my food, so it's better absorbed. And that's what I'll stick to. I found that I have seen difference in my body composition. I've also changed my diet a little bit, but I've seen that CLA has helped me feel a little bit more lean, and I have lost. And the weight that I lost is not just water weight or, God forbid, muscle. It's actual fat, because I've still been able to maintain my strength throughout this whole weight loss and cutting phase. So if you guys want to try it out, I do highly recommend it. It can't hurt. There's not really too many negative side effects to taking CLA. And like I said, worst case scenario, if your body doesn't respond to it, you can just stop taking it. So that'll be all for today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below in the video. If you liked the video and you enjoyed the topic, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And of course, if you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. That too helps me out. And it's always nice to know that I have new subscribers and that you guys are still engaged with the channel. So thank you all very much. And if you guys want any of the Women's Best supplements, including CLA and creatine that I just discussed in this video, you can use my code for Women's Best. I linked it in the description box, and it's right down here. It'll get you 10% off your Women's Best purchase, and it really helps me out with the company, so thank you for using my code. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all next week.